Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley and USC heading on the road to Eugene, Oregon, and you make no mistake about it, they're looking to shock the world. What's it going to take? Because I think there's a lot of USC fans who follow this program, but also the sport that understand why USC is the 10.5 point underdog. Oregon's probably looked like the better football team. I think they look like the more complete football team. They're the team that's playing at home. USC's a little bit banged up heading into this matchup, but when you have the ability to score like USC has, you're going to have a chance to win every single game you play any given Saturday. What's it going to take? When I look at this game, I think it's fair to say that there are more matchups in this football game that probably favor the Oregon Ducks. But there are some matchups that favor USC. And I think this game's about, mitigating the matchups that favor Oregon and really leaning into the matchups that might favor USC. What are those matchups? How does USC lean into those matchups? That's what I want to get into now. Before we do, and as always, I got to give a monster shout out to both the USC and Oregon fans. We've said it all week long. This game personally to me, it means a lot, and I've had a blast. I don't think there's been two fan bases that have been more supportive to the boys over the last couple of years than the USC and Oregon fans. I've had a blast. I cannot thank you guys enough for just letting it rip in the comment section all week long. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to be running back this same exact episode from an Oregon standpoint as well, talking about the matchups and how Oregon leans into the matchups that favor them. So stay tuned for that. If you're a USC fan, maybe you don't want to watch that episode. Without further ado, though, let's get into it. And I want to start with this. That when I'm sitting and marinating and trying to figure out, how is this game going to look? Want to know what comes to my head? Lincoln Riley, I should say this. USC made a monster move that shook the college football landscape, bringing Lincoln Riley from Norman, Oklahoma to the state of California. This is one of those games. This is the reason why USC went with Lincoln Riley. When you're playing in these kind of games, can you find the edge in the play calling, the coaching department? Why did USC pick Lincoln Riley? It's not only what he does developing quarterbacks, but it's what he does on game day, game planning the offense and calling the plays for the offense. There's no silver bullet against this Oregon defense. They've been top 25 against the run. They arguably had the best passing defense that we see in the country. They have the ability to get after the quarterback. There's no quote-unquote weak link, silver bullet where USC can attack and have a ton of success. To me, Lincoln Riley's an X factor. How many wrinkles can he come up with to give USC the edge as a play caller of this offense? Because I'll say this, I got a ton of respect for Will Stein. I think he's one of the best offensive coordinators that we see in the sport. The best play caller that's going to be on the football field Saturday afternoon, I believe, is Lincoln Riley. He has to win in that department from an X's and O's standpoint Saturday afternoon for USC, whether that's a couple of wrinkles and trick plays. And I have a feeling you're going to see that on both sides of things. I mean, both of these programs have been looking at this game knowing damn well it's probably going to be a game that you win, you go to the playoffs. There are going to be wrinkles on both sides. Does Lincoln Riley have the right wrinkles to give USC the edge on offense? I think USC's got to score. You look at Oregon and say that run game is going to be tough for the USC defense to deal with, and we're going to talk about how USC might deal with it. I think it's fair to say Oregon's going to move the football, and Oregon's going to be able to put some points up on the board. Can Lincoln Riley put up more points? I think it has a lot to do with some of the wrinkles that he might have from a play calling perspective in this football game. Number two, you got to move Lemon around. When USC's at their best, it is going through Makai Lemon. Now, the tricky part for this football game is we have not seen a ton of cornerbacks that can deal with Makai Lemon. Like, Makai Lemon has had the advantage in every single game. I think Oregon's cornerbacks, especially on the boundary, they're legit. Brandon Finney, Ife Obadegwu, even their nickel corner and Jaden Kennedy, they're all really, really good. There's a reason why this passing defense is as good as it is for Oregon. Why I talk about Makai Lemon is, maybe we don't want Makai Lemon matched up on Brandon Finney. And that's not to say Makai Lemon can't win his fair share of reps, but we're trying to put Makai Lemon in the ideal spot. And maybe that's not against Brandon Finney out on the boundary. This is why Makai Lemon, to me, is the most impactful wide receiver in the sport. You can do anything you want with him. What are some ways you can use Makai Lemon and line him up where you can get some matchups? Can you have him work in the middle of the field against some Oregon linebackers that I think are good, but maybe aren't great in coverage? That's an answer. I think I guess the best way to put it is I don't think USC can win this football game unless Makai Lemon has a massive impact on the game. And that starts with putting him in ideal positions. And that's the beauty of Makai Lemon, man. You can put him anywhere on the football field. The kid's going to find success. Got to be really creative with him and generate touches. Now look at how USC was able to come back against Iowa. They simplified it. They say, we got to get the ball to Makai Lemon. Good things going to happen. It's exactly what happened. You need Makai Lemon in this football game against a really good secondary. We got to be creative in terms of how we use him. Here's the last thing I'll say on offense is how healthy is this team? It's a big storyline. I hate to bring up injuries in this football game, but I look at left tackle Elijah Page and say, boy, does it feel like it's important to have Elijah Page out there on the football field and have him close to 100%. He probably ain't going to be 100% if he plays. How close is he and how good is he? Because I think a lot of USC fans know, look, Tobias Raymond's been bouncing around all over the offensive line. He's a much better guard than he is tackle. You feel like to deal with Mateo Yu and Tatum on the other side, you want your best offensive lineman, what I think is one of the best tackles in the country, on the road. You feel like, and not to mention what Elijah Page does in the run game. Like when Elijah Page is healthy at that left tackle spot, and then you have Tobias Raymond at left guard, that's really dynamic. That's a powerful left side of the offensive line. That really helps USC run the football, which is going to be big in this game too. And you flip over to defense, you're talking about the same thing. Like how healthy is a Kamari Ramsey? That feels big too. I mean, when Kamari Ramsey is healthy and he's playing the right spots, he's one of the best defenders on this USC defense. Here's the biggest storyline, though. I think that this might determine the winner of this football game. Red zone. This is the one really clear matchup so far that favors USC. Like Oregon's been really, really good on both sides of the football, but on both sides of the football, they have struggled in the red zone, but specifically on offense, and I mean scoring touchdowns. I mean, what if Oregon goes 80 yards, averages 7 yards per play, but comes away with 3 points, and then they do it again on the second drive. They go 80 yards, but stall in the red zone, and they kick a field goal and 3 points. I mean, Oregon might have 250 yards of total offense in the first half, but if you can make that a 9-point instead of 21 points and hold them to field goals, that's huge. I mean, you look at Oregon and say, well, what has made some of these games closer than they probably should have been? Go back to on the road against Penn State. Oregon was the better team. They did not capitalize in the red zone. Penn State hung around and was able to take that into overtime. How about the game against Iowa? Oregon was the better team. Why did Oregon have to go last second and drive the football field and win that football game? It's because Oregon was messing around in the red zone, not scoring touchdowns. USC's going to give up some yards. You know, I think it's fair to say that this Oregon offense, their ability to run the football, their difference makers they have on the outside, the struggles we've seen at times from USC stopping the run, I think it's pretty fair to say Oregon's going to move the football. Can you hold them to 3 points? Can you come up with some timely stops? That's how you stay in this football game. That's how you put yourself in a position in the fourth quarter to go out and win a football game. Red zone is going to be massive because I don't think either of these teams win this game kicking field goals. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. Can USC get to attack mode on defense? And this is why I bring it up, is that the games where we've seen USC struggle, right, against Illinois on the road against Notre Dame, USC was on their heels. You know, the other team was running the football, staying ahead of the chains. They were the ones attacking. Then I go to the version of USC's defense that we saw against my Michigan Wolverines. That version of USC's defense, they were the ones applying pressure. They were the ones who were in attack mode. It starts with stopping the run. It starts with getting Oregon off schedule. This is a really hard offense to get off schedule. They'll run the football for 6 yards, 2nd and 4. The whole playbook's open. They'll run the football again. Then they're pushing the ball down the field. Will Stein's always attacking. Can you put Oregon's offense on their heels? We've only seen it one time, and that was when Indiana did it against Oregon a couple of weeks ago. There's been different versions of Dante Moore. We've seen a version of Dante Moore where he looks like the best quarterback in the country, where he looks like a future first-round NFL draft pick. We've also seen at times versions of Dante Moore where it looks a little bit less like that. Can you get that version of Dante Moore? Because once again, you look at things that need to happen, you got to make Dante Moore uncomfortable. If you let this run game start to cook and then Oregon's work and play action and Dante Moore is really comfortable, it's in my opinion, nearly an impossible football team to beat. It's an impossible offense to stop. How can you make Dante Moore uncomfortable? How can it be that USC gets Oregon behind the chains and it's 3rd and 7 plus and USC's bringing pressure, dropping 3 or rushing 3, dropping 8, changing looks? How can USC get there? It's going to be the storyline. And you'll feel it right off the bat, right? You will feel it right off the bat. Who is the team that is putting the pedal to the metal? Is it USC's defense or is it Oregon's offense? If you get that version of USC defense that we saw against Michigan, where they stopped the run and they made Bryce Underwood really uncomfortable, USC is going to have a chance in this football game. We'll close it out there. Again, many of y'all know my pick. I took Oregon to win this game, but I don't think Oregon's going to run away. USC, I think, is too good on offense for Oregon to just run away in this game. Oregon, I picked to win. I did pick USC to cover that number and USC to put themselves in spot maybe where they can win this football game. We'll see how it plays out. I can't wait. Saturday afternoon. It doesn't get any better than this. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.